paranormal is a very big, interesting hobby, so we're going to have to keep it down to one subject, and that would be how to investigate, methods to investigate, what would be proper, what would be improper. So whether we're talking about EVPs, photography, filming, psychics, mediums, whatever, let's go into the scientific method. Let's talk about the scientific method and what processes it should be taken. On our panel tonight, we have, we'll just call him Kenny Biddle, because everybody knows him. Kim
Pietrzak.
Pietrzak, sorry.
One of you.
Yeah.
Lou
Pietrak's here.
DeMieri. And Randy Plessor. And I'm going to start out with the first question, and I'm going to ask the same question of all of you, so limit your response to real, just a short response. Do you think that the investigations that people see on television, popular television shows like Ghost Hunters and Ghost Adventurers and the like, do you think that what they're doing there is properly educating the public on how a paranormal investigation should be done? Start with Kim, ladies first.
Me? I actually, in all honesty, it's TV. Whether it's done right or not, it's for entertainment only. If people are paying attention to TV to figure out how to investigate, it's kind of one of those things. They're obviously redoing things to make evidence happen so that people are entertained. You can't take that, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You simply cannot look at that and say, oh, look what they caught. Even if it's a picture, you were not there. I don't care, any investigator will tell you, if you're not physically present at the time a piece of evidence is obtained, the person that's looking at that evidence, you can't prove what it is or what it's not. Even if you're there, you can't prove what it is or what it's not. So you got to look at TV as pure entertainment.
You've gotten to my next question, but we'll go.
Sorry.
Lou.
I'm in agreement with Kim. What you see on TV is TV. That's what it is. Some of these people have been paranormal investigators before. The guys that are in TAPS, they were investigators long before they got a TV show. They know what they should be doing, but the TV show dictates what they do and what they don't do. So if you're going to go by what you see on there as an investigative arm of what you should do as an investigator, I would say no.
Randy?
I agree, but when we as newbies look at these television shows, we look at them as a vice for learning, and that's one of the misnomers of this field. The shows, as Kim pointed out, are for entertainment purposes only. Therefore, evidence can be produced for television entertainment. Chip Coffey says on his website that his services are for entertainment only, who is a medium. One of the things that we look at, and one thing that we're pushing, is the supernatural standard.
Okay. Now, we'll move on.
Okay. But to finish that, the newbie in the television show, they don't agree.
Kenny?
Yeah, TV shows like Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures, all those TV shows are purely entertainment. There is not one iota of science depicted on any of those shows. They are edited, they are sometimes scripted. There is no control of the environment. There are variables that are known but not accounted for. The evidence, the quote-unquote evidence that they present is subjective at best. It can't be considered legitimate or valid at all because, one, it is uncontrolled conditions. Two, it's not by anybody that are scientists or investigators for that matter. They may be calling themselves investigators, but all they are pretty much thrill seekers. They're ghost hunters. They don't investigate the claims. They wait for something to happen. They're doing more of a stakeout rather than an investigation. That's how I see it.
Okay.
There you go.
So the next question, and Kim caught upon it, was, if you're not there and you're not experiencing it yourself, is there a way to be able to prove what you've seen, what you've heard, and can science answer those questions for us, of how to investigate the paranormal? I'll start with Kenny on that.
To prove it 100%, no. You need a lot of evidence. because these are extraordinary claims, and extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. So you have to have a lot of stuff to back up what you're saying. And it goes back to what I just said. There is no control of the environment. So if you don't have control, you're not doing experiments. There is no science going on. It's more speculation. It's hearsay. You see a lot of the equipment that's being used out there. There is absolutely no supporting data that they do anything except what they're originally designed to do. Electromagnetic field detectors detect electromagnetic fields within a certain range. Not what they're talking about. They don't detect ghosts. There's nothing that says that they do. As with any other devices, even the ones that are specifically manufactured for ghost hunters, they're not. They are still the same devices, just with a different cover on it. I mean, this phone is the same as pretty much all the phones in here, except I have a Superman cover on it. That's what makes it different. That's exactly what they're doing in the ghost hunting field. They're repurposing equipment and trying to say it has some kind of paranormal power, magical power that can talk to spirits and detect them. Let me see the data. Let me see the evidence. And unfortunately, they can't produce that.
Kim, same question.
I agree with Kenny, and as I had said before.
Wow. I'm not used to hearing that.
Because as I said before, I will give you an example, and it will fit with what Kenny says, okay? I could be sitting there in an investigation in the Lazaretto, and there could be a full-body apparition of a woman in nurse's garb walks right by me. I'm the only one sitting there looking at it. I pull out my camera, take a quick picture. There's a little white spot in the middle of the picture. That's all my camera caught. So I go to Kenny, I say, Kenny, look, I swear to you, I swear, when I got this, an apparition was walking in front of me. Kenny's going to look at it and go, that's a white dot. And I'm going to go, yeah, I know, but there was an apparition there. He goes, oh, I don't see it. So if you're not there, an EVP are the same exact example. I could have an EVP that says, hi, Kim, my name. How do I know it wasn't somebody from outside? How do I know it wasn't a radio signal that carried into the Lazaretto? How do I know it's not picking up something? I have no idea what it is, but it wasn't what I thought it was. Now, it's guidelines, it's guidance, but as pure hardcore evidence, if it is not, like Kenny said, in a very sterile experiment type environment, you can't say this is definitely what it is. You simply can't. That's the whole thing about paranormal investigating. It is an unknown science.
Lou?
Yeah, I'm going with basically what they're saying. I mean, most of the things that go on inside the paranormal investigations that we do are personal experiences more than anything. I see the apparition, I hear the voice. Kim could be standing next to me and she don't hear nothing or see anything at all. So you're taking my word that I'm an honest person and I'm not trying to hoodwink you by telling you something I saw, but is that physical evidence or proof? No. It's proof in my view for me, but not for somebody else.
Okay. How about you, Randy?
Why do we investigate? What is the outcome? What is the purpose? When we take a look at investigation techniques and what we are, nothing is foolproof. So when we go back to review, how do we review a process we don't understand? Because all four of us can come up with different hypotheses. It's the hypothesis we need to investigate. Too many times we try to look because nobody asked the question, why? Why do we want to do this? And this is one of the things about the idea of proving evidence. Why does Kenny or Kim or Lou or myself, why do we want to do this? And what is the outcome that we're looking for? I mean, that skews viewpoints because all four of us could have different viewpoints. When we create that stigma or that imagination behind you, we're going to start making up evidence, and now we're going to start taking meters and whatnot and trying to conform what we believe is what truth is. And that's part of the problem is the four of us could come with a different set of truth. You can, she can, he can. What is truth in this field?
Well, thank you. And now the next question, and you just hit upon it. Investigators' bias. How can the investigator's bias affect what they say is scientific paranormal investigation? Start with Kenny.
Well, first of all, bias and scientific don't go together. You need to take your bias and leave it at home. You need to take your beliefs, which are your biases. Biases is a way of thinking that either you heavily promote what you already believe, or you heavily refute something you don't believe, and you apply it. Religious beliefs, upbringing, environmental beliefs, friends, peer pressure, stuff like that creates bias. So if you go in already believing, and the best example I usually give is, if you're a full-fledged believer in the paranormal and you're a ghost hunter because you are on a ghost hunting team, and you decide that you're going out to a haunted location because everybody says it's haunted, and I see status updates on like social media of those people saying, I can't wait to go to this place and get all the evidence. They've already determined from the start that they're going to get evidence of paranormal activity even before they set foot in this place. They haven't even looked at the claims already made. They haven't verified if the claims previously are valid or not. They're already convinced right away that they're going in. So they're not doing any kind of scientific work because they're already working with they have a conclusion. And that's basically what it is. That science teaches us that's the worst way to go about investigating a claim. You already have a conclusion, and you only go in looking for anything that supports that conclusion. When you go from a scientific viewpoint, you need to go in and look at the data, collect all the data, and let the data lead you to a conclusion. No matter if it's with your belief or against your belief or straddles the fence. Doesn't matter. You have to let the data lead you. You can't lead the data.
Kim, bias?
I think in the paranormal, we confuse evidence with experience. Not experience in how long you've been doing it, but experiencing things in the now. People will experience things on paranormal investigations that get them all excited and happy. I think that's fun. I think it's great. Let them go. But when you present that as this is evidence of a haunting in this place, I think you're going down the wrong road. This is something, when people go to these places, like say, I'm going to Lizzie Borden this weekend, the Lizzie Borden house. I can't wait to experience what it has to offer. Not, I can't wait to see the evidence, because as Kenny said, evidence has not even been produced yet. How do you know you're going to see it?
Yeah, evidence comes from data.
Exactly.
You have to analyze the data, and then you get evidence. So they already made up their mind.
But we're confusing. They know there's been people go there and they have experiences. Okay? Who am I to call people liars? Or because people see what they see. They believe what they want to believe. Okay, that's none of my business. That's fine. And if you want to go and have those experiences, have fun, have at it. But and understand the difference between having an experience of hearing something in your ear that nobody else heard, as opposed to having evidence that you heard something in your ear that nobody else heard. There's a big difference there. Can you prove that happened? No. Then it's an experience, not evidence.
Lou?
I think in general, from the things that we do up at Rockwood Mansion, it's mostly the experiences that everybody wants. And having those experiences is good for us because it sells tickets for us to be able to raise money for the mansion. But it's not always evidence. And, I've been out there 10 years, and I'll say that, I've got at least 5 photographs that I'm pretty sure are something that I can't explain. I've had other people look at it.
Why is he looking at me?
Kenny?
But there's a lot of things that we collect that we like to think is evidence, but it's not evidence because we really don't have a sure handle on it.
Randy, I think you already answered the question with the other question I asked, so I'm going to start with the new question for you. People talk about the scientific method, and how could we apply the scientific method to the investigation of paranormal claims?
By beginning to create a hypothesis or the beginnings of a standard. I've got a team right now across the United States, a supernatural standards board that is testing, retesting, hypothesizing, testing, retesting. There are 3 standards that investigators have posted. We're trying to take the understanding of who, when, why, how, etc. Because it is a client-driven process. It isn't an investigator-driven. The client is asking for claims. So they'll call Kenny and ask questions. And
But who's the client? Who's the client we're talking about?
But the person who will be contacting us for an investigation.
Okay, so the people in need, not necessarily the people of the historical places who want to...
Correct.
Okay.
So now, when we look at that standard, who is driving it at that point? Is it the investigator or is it the client? What is the client viewpoint versus what our viewpoint is? And that's where, doing radio shows for the last 3 years, we've did over 270 episodes so far. I've learned about the client-driven process versus the investigating driven process. And they're two totally separate venues because they're driven by television, movies, etc. And what they're looking for is some phantasmagorical report that's there. When we offer zero, we sit down and explain this. We need to start producing and writing down investigating techniques by rote and testing them, and then giving them to Kenny and Kim and Lou, and then reviewing hypotheses. We don't go back to hauntings to get claims. We hate review process. We do not like research. We like thrills. So therefore, the research process should be is where we start.
Just a point of clarification. We don't like to use, most of the case, the word client, because a client is a fiduciary responsibility between one person or one organization and one other person or organization. With these people that these people are dealing with are claimants. Because when you have a claimant you're assisting somebody with a claim, you don't have that fiduciary legal responsibility to that person. You're not creating a provider-client contract. So I get what you're saying, but substitute the word client with the word claimant. Lou.
Well, he's pretty much, I'm in agreement pretty much with what he's saying. It's real difficult when you go out there and deal with organizations that want to know if they have a haunted facility, and they got a dozen stories, they've got photographs, and if you come back saying, well, it's going to take us a while to investigate this and we don't have any real hard evidence, it's real difficult to get those people to be susceptible to that. They want the thing. They want to know that it's happening. We want to sell tickets. We want to do this. We want to do that. We want taps coming out here, and they want the sensationalism of what goes on.
So how could we create standards that follow the scientific method, Kim?
Well, we're not really talking, I mean, I don't want to say, the words are difficult here. This is a very unknown field. Yes, this is a very unknown field. To have a standard, to put together a standard in something that's unknown is going to be extraordinarily difficult because the standards will be constantly changing. We have no idea what we're dealing with. We have no idea. None of us, not one person in this room right now is an expert in paranormal. Not one person is an expert on UFOs. Not one person is an expert on Bigfoot. Because we just simply don't have enough information to develop that. So my concern, and please don't take this wrong, Randy, is to develop a standard in a field where there are no experts, there are no people who have the knowledge necessary to adequately put together information so that people can, quote, conduct this stuff. I find it will be extraordinarily difficult. I just don't, not so sure we're ready for that yet. And again, please don't take me wrong. This is me. I just do not believe, when you're looking at the claimant individual, the family who calls because they're frightened, I have found that families are calling me not to look at evidence that's happening in their house. They don't really care about that. They just want it to stop. They want to know why things are happening. And 9 times out of 10, I'm going to find why it's happening. Your door's loose. Car goes by, the door opens. You've got, your clock is emitting this energy off of it that's making you sick. That's why you're having bad nightmares. A lot of times this stuff will get you to hallucinate. And I almost hope to have that because these people are genuinely scared. So I want to be able to give them a reason. Unfortunately, there are, again, with an unknown field, there are reasons I can't explain. And that's it. I can't explain them. I'm not going to say, you've got a ghost. Because I don't know. Now, granted, Tony knows me. Yeah, sometimes I get names. Sometimes weird things happen. But I cannot claim what that is. Because then if you want to even go further out to the paranormal field, and you really want to get, and this is way beyond, just don't worry about this part. Something's talking to me. You don't know, he snorted. But, so the unknown part of the field, we can't put that in a box yet. We can't. Because if we do, then we're going to leave something out or force something in that box. Does that make sense?
Kenny, your opinion.
There's so much to say. I'm with Kim.
That hurt, didn't it?
There's a big, I understand that you're a metaphor with the box because the paranormal encompasses the biggest box we know of. Ghosts, UFOs, Bigfoot, these all are things that we don't know the qualities of. If you don't know the qualities of what you're looking for, you cannot measure it. And that's just pure science, that's basic science. So, and when we're talking about ghosts, there is no definitive definition. There is no one unique definition. There are thousands of different versions of what we're looking for, what they're looking for. I don't agree with the claimant-driven mentality. I don't believe that. I think the claimant is the one that's starting it. They generate the claim because they have the experiences. They're the ones making the claims. It's the person going in there, because not all of them are investigators. The people going in there looking into that, they're the ones that are driving it because they are now putting their perspective onto what you're experiencing. If you experience something and you call, quote unquote, a professional ghost hunter to come in, and I hate saying that, and they come in there, now they tell you what they think. You're looking at them as an authority. So now you're believing what they tell you. If I tell you it's a demon, if I tell you it's a ghost, if I tell you have 37 ghosts and 3 of them want to rape you, you're going to believe me. You're not going to be able to sleep at night. I'm going to screw up your head because of that.
And it's not fair.
And it's not fair because there are unqualified people going into people's houses and telling them stuff. They are the ones driving what's going on. They are driving the overall personality of the paranormal field. It's not even a field. It's a community. It's a hobby. That's
Community.
it.
I like community.
And as for standards, there are standards. You look to detectives. You look for scientists. You look for engineers. They have standards in all the things that the paranormal community steals from. They borrow everything from other sciences and other fields of study. The problem is they skip everything. They skip the scientific process. They skip the guidelines that are in place for those respective fields. And they just go right from, I see it on TV, this must be evidence. They skip the entire process in between because it's too much work. When you talk about research, research is not, oh, I saw it on Wikipedia, or I saw it on TV, I watched a documentary about mermaids or something like that. That's not research. That's bullshit. Basically, that's what it is. You need to do the research. You need to consult the experts. And to kind of go on to that, you said there's no experts in the paranormal, which there are not. But there are experts in the paranormal community. There are photographers. There are biologists, chemists. There are psychologists, behavioral therapists. There are physicists, real physicists, not people that claim to be a PhD and, they're not, because we have a few of those. But there are real scientists that are actually involved, and you can consult them. They will answer your questions. They will help you out. But you need to do them steps. You can't just skip it and get right to the finish line and say, I have evidence because it matches stuff I see on somebody else's website or on TV. So the scientific process, the scientific method is there. It's spelled out. I have flyers out on my table that explain all the steps to it that you can go by. And you can apply it out in the field, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. And if you don't want to put it in, if you want to do your 4-hour ghost hunt, then that's fine. You're not doing science. You're a thrill seeker. And you know what? That's okay with you. If you get a thrill out of it, you're happy, fine. But when you start, as you said, when you start putting that out there, now you're presenting it for peer review. And peer review isn't your friends or your other ghost hunting teams. There are people that actually study this stuff biology, chemistry, photography, all that, they're the ones that are going to review it. And when they tell you, no, it's not what you think it is, you got to take it. If you don't want to take it, you're not doing science.
Then you're biased.
Yeah.
Because you want to believe so badly that it's existing.
Yeah, I can't keep my short answers. I can't do it.
But it's absolutely true, because that's the one thing I do run into. People want to believe so badly that it exists that they're taking natural occurrences and claiming they're paranormal. Now, let me tell you on the other end of it, I don't know how they could be missing true unexplained evidence because they're so focused on natural occurrences that they're calling paranormal, they're missing everything else. So, that 10% you can't prove. You get the experts in. I mean, again, I send pictures to Kenny. I'm not a photographer. I rarely take pictures to begin with. I would get something I don't understand, I'm sending it to Kenny. That's it.
Well, something Kim said and Kenny said was two questions I want to combine as one. Kim was mentioning the door, that the latch was broken, so when the wind comes along, the door blows open, and when you, and Kenny's talked about this before, and when you open a door at the other end of the house, the door closes.
Interior, exterior pressure.
Exterior pressures. What Kenny was talking about was a multidisciplinary team. It's what we use in medicine, it's what we use in most of the sciences. And what you do is, Kenny might be the best expert on photography. You might be on another science, you another science. So what you do is you go in and you have an extraordinary claim that's being made by a person or persons. And what you do is you look and ask questions, you look and ask questions, you look and ask questions. What do you think about that? A multidisciplinary team where people don't claim to be paranormal experts, but claim to be experts in the field or well-versed in the field that they do. So we'll talk about the multidisciplinary team. What do you think of the multidisciplinary team as a beginning point to examine extraordinary claims?
I think that's a good idea, as long as you have valid backgrounds from people. And I'm not going to shout out names, but there was one person that's really big in the paranormal community, been on TV, wrote books and stuff, claimed to be a PhD in quantum mechanics. He's not. It was totally fake, and he fooled a lot of people. And that really hurt the community. So you need to validate people's backgrounds. I am part of a team like that, and it's called the Anomalies Research Society. And myself and Sharon Hill, who is a geologist, trained scientist, trained in the scientific method, she's part of it. And we have experts in different fields: carpentry, behavioral therapists, engineers. I think you're part of it, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're part of it. Yeah. So we have people, and we don't actually go out and investigate too many, because when we try to do it, nobody wants us, because they send us the case, they send us what's happening, and we all talk about it. We all apply our expertise and our backgrounds. We don't go outside of our expertise. Like, I'm not going to talk about plumbing issues because I have no idea how to do it. Honestly, you don't want me to fix your pipes because it won't work. But we do have a plumber. We have other people that will give their input. It could be this, it could be that. Testable claims. And then we give our findings to the claimant and say, this is what we came up with. And usually they're satisfied. But you really have to make sure the people that you're going to have on this team are valid, and are professionals. That's the most important thing. Especially when the talk of standards throughout the paranormal, which I really don't think will ever happen. But if you get a panel that's going to start doing this, you have to validate their backgrounds and make sure that they are professionals and they're willing to do this. And they can just apply the standards that are already in their fields to because that's what they do. When you go to somebody, when you go to photographers or scientists, they already have the standards that they work with every single day. And they can apply that to what the claim is in front of them. That's it. There's nothing else to say about it.
Kim?
It's interesting because, we're talking about the paranormal standards and the box and all that stuff. There's all kinds of different scenarios involved in the paranormal where any particular method or whatever can be applied. For instance, again, I was talking personal experiences by people going through these places. You cannot deny anybody a personal experience. You can't prove it's evidence, you can't prove it's real, but you cannot deny their personal experience. However, you can have somebody say, I want answers. Well, if you want answers, you get the team in. Superman. No, but seriously, there are, but perfect example. I'm going to give an example of the Rockwood Mansion. There with 4 different people, we had some very unexplained occurrences happen. Maybe they could have been explained. I didn't really look into it anymore. We really don't use it as evidence. We've never really presented it. But we actually had a drawer pop open on its own that was jammed shut. Okay? Could have been air pressure. I don't know. Some things had fit together according to our conversation that really piqued our interest about it. But that's a personal experience. I thought it was so cool. I will never discount that personal experience. However, and there was nothing to record it, but if I wanted to look into it more and say, why did that happen? I would probably get somebody involved that would be able to give me an explanation, take a look at the piece of furniture, say, well, this is possibly how it could have happened. Yes, there is pure coincidence involved. Or, you know what, that's kind of weird. I don't know how it could happen. That's where you get those answers. Now, I'm trying not to be too general with this, but also know that from my personal experiences with what I do, there are many different scenarios involved in this community that we have. I like that word.
Why should you look at me?
No, I like that word community. That's why I really
Okay.
do. I really think it's good because, there are people that are just going out having fun. And as long as they're not getting into trouble, as long as they're not scaring people and claiming things, it's fun. Let them have fun. This paranormal equipment stuff, as long as they're doing it for entertainment reasons, have at it. Have fun. Just don't start publishing findings or making claims that, because I own an Ovilus, I walk through, I have a great time with it. And, say the Ovilus itself says, hi, Kim. I'm not going to go running to some kind of journal and say, it worked. Because I have no idea how it works. I just think it's cool that it talks. But no, seriously though, and that's serious, and I will never claim I know how it works. And I don't want to sit up here and say, don't go out and have fun. Oh my gosh, go out and have fun. Be careful. Be legal. Be legal, but be careful and happy. I saw that. But have fun. Just, don't claim that you're doing a scientific investigation when you're truly not. That's going to get you in trouble. And again, like I said before, it's also, you may miss the true opportunities to have something scientifically investigated because it is truly unknown. So.
Lou?
Well, I think having an organized team of experts that you can go to that have real scientific working knowledge is a great thing. Unfortunately, there's not that many of those organizational groups put together at this time. So you're dealing with people like myself and Kim and some others who have some background in that, but we're still out there investigating for fun to a certain point too.
We're having fun.
And that's my sense is I go out to investigate because I believe that something's out there. I go out there to have fun. I don't necessarily use all the evidence I collect as a scientific hypothesis to prove something. So I would like to have a group of people that could come out and say this or that for sure, because it was an earth tremor, or it's because it's the way the electrical system works inside the house. But some of it I just enjoy having this mystery.
Randy?
One of the things that I strove for through the show and whatnot is looking for unique scientific principles. The U.S. military went ghost hunting in Iraq. And we found this out through Chester County Institute. So they were developing their core standards. Also, the Muslims are getting into it. I went to a place called thedeanshow.com, which they're beginning their standardization of taking a look. So there are multiple viewpoints, multiple places that this, word of definition or expert. The U.S. military is a very interesting, point of expertise from medical up to trained in warfare. Now, these gentlemen went to Tel Afar and investigated a burned up mosque and also a Kurdish grave. And I know that the evidence is sitting with this Pennsylvania-based paranormal organization, and one of the soldiers is sitting on my Facebook. But they're bringing a new field of expertise in that I personally haven't seen. The U.S. trained war soldier, their expertise coming in to try to understand. the Muslims. His name is Haziz, is a Muslim demonologist coming in trying to create his view of standards both from Benghazi, Central Africa, as well as Afghanistan. And this is something that we've been trying to bring out.
Go ahead.
This is something we've been trying to bring out over the last year and a half, that as we grow in this field, and as Kenny pointed out, the amount of expertise is growing. There's also the questions that most people aren't asking is, it's going worldwide. My show's heard from Australia all the way from Canada to Brazil, and I find it very interesting. Some of the people that are listening are from Honduras, so China. So I've been confessing the audiences, trying to find the ideas of these new expertise, and they're coming from all walks of life. So this worldwide concept of trying to build, this new resident expert is exciting. It really is.
But is the resident expert biased?
I have a question though. You said that the U.S. military is investigating, and then the alleged evidence is with a paranormal team in Pennsylvania. Was it actually the military doing it, or was it somebody in the military that was part of a group that did it?
It was members of one of the forces in Telefar, who was the U.S. military, who investigated.
So it wasn't the actual military that was doing this. It was a ghost hunter that was in the military, because that's a big difference.
It's a paranormal team inside the military.
Yeah, but it's not military sanctioned. It's not a military endeavor. That's a big difference. That needs clarification, because as you said it, you presented it as the military was investigating paranormal activity, which it's not.
Correct.
It's just a group that happened to be in the military.
Correct.
All right.
Next question for everybody, and when people make claims, extraordinary claims, some people might make it because they're in a situation they're trying to find closure in. Some people are doing it so that they can exploit financially the claim they're making. And there's other various reasons. What way, Kenny, would you try to, as part of your initial process of asking questions, because you hit upon it a little bit, we're talking about the anomalous organization that you're part of and I am part of. We're talking about standards. What kind of questions would you ask? Like probing questions that, that are not showing bias on your point, but trying to discern what these people are really asking. Again, those two things: closure on something, meaning something scaring them, or it becomes, do you think that they are trying to financially gain from what you are going to produce for them?
Yeah, there's two different avenues there. You're dealing with a personal gain, that's completely different from someone that wants closure, and I don't know what you mean, closure as in like they're scared?
Closure could be anything.
Okay.
They've had a personal experience.
Okay.
The personal experience has frightened them in some such way.
Okay.
So they want closure on it. They want to know, was it real or was it not real?
Okay. See, this is part of it. You want clarification. Like, I didn't understand the question, so
Okay.
I wanted clarification. And any time you present it with a claim, you need clarification. You need to question the details. If they're generalized, like, oh, we saw a ghost coming down the stairs, that's not a good description, because what's a ghost? Exactly what you saw. Because some people would say it's a glowing light. Some people would say it's a shadowy thing. You need to clarify exactly what you saw. As in, was it a figure? Okay, what were they wearing? What time of night did it happen? Were you doing anything? Were you drinking? That's a big question, because I've dealt with that many times when you start out with a story and nobody says, were you drinking? Until they get to me. And it's like, oh yeah, well they downed a couple shots and they did this and it was a party out. And by the way, there was like 100 people in this little house that only fit 10 people. So yeah, things are going on. You need to delve into exactly what's going on, know exactly what you're dealing with. If you have questions later on, same thing. And that's for people that want closure. You really have to get into the details and investigate each. If you need to go there and show them, like this door opens and closes with, that door across the hall, you need to go there and show them. Demonstration is the best way to teach people and get it in their head that, okay, there is an explanation for this. Helping them along and guiding them, allowing them to figure out the mystery is also the best way. And they teach themselves how to do it. For people with financial gain, they better prove it. There's a $1 million challenge out there. That's not the only one. James Randi puts out a $1 million challenge that if you have some kind of a paranormal thing that you can do, if you're psychic, if you can do dowsing rods, if you can do this, both parties agree on the terms of the what is it? They agree on the contract, saying I can do this, and I can complete this test that you put together. And they both agree on it. They can do it. You can win $1 million cash. There's probably about 30 other organizations that offer similar prizes for that. So you can make money. The problem is they don't want to do that because that's under controlled conditions. It's under the observation of scientists and magicians who are by far the best people to find deceit, to find if you're tricking somebody, because they are paid to deceive you and they are honest about it. So there's a way to make money, but they don't do that because it's easier to prey upon anyone walking in. Because if you have a storefront that you read cards or you do crystal balls or something like that, the people that are coming in already have a belief. So you are just reconditioning that. You are over and over again refining that belief and saying, yes, I can come in and give you a general Barnum statement. And a Barnum statement is pretty much, if anybody has read your horoscope in the newspaper, that's a Barnum statement. Because you can literally take one, cross out all the signs, astrological signs, and then have someone try and pick out their sign. You can't do it because they all apply to everybody. And if you want to make money, you need to prove it. If you claim to be psychic, if you claim to be able to move things with your mind or read my mind, you better damn well prove it. Especially if you're asking for money. Because now you're being dishonest and you're ripping people off. And I don't stand for that. I can't stand it. If I know that you're taking money from people and you're doing it deceitfully, I will do what I have to do to show that you're doing that. But on the other end, if you do have this ability, awesome. I want to experience it. I want to be a part of it. And if you can prove that you have it, I'm right there with you. I'll be behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Kim?
Absolutely.
The whole idea of the claimant making the claim for closure or for profit.
He had to repeat the question because I talked too much.
Well, yeah, I kind of zoned out.
Okay, I did too.
Anyway.
He didn't even know the question I asked at the beginning.
I just started talking.
For closure, yes, the questions are extremely important. Prescription drugs, very, very personal questions. Are you currently seeing a psychiatrist? What is your family history? What is your...
I think he's seeing a psychiatrist. You just go.
How old is your home? Does your home have any history? Do you know if your home has any violent history? There is literally questions. I could think of 50 to 100 questions you can ask somebody, and then within those questions begin to probe more to find out all the details, and you would be absolutely shocked at how much natural occurrence will come out of somebody that they claimed was paranormal. And again, the alarm clock next to the bed is the perfect example. People saying they're not getting good sleep, they're seeing shadows running around the room at night, and you use the EMF meter for what it's really used for.
What?
And you put it up to the clock, and it's pinning it. And you're like, this potentially can cause exactly what you're experiencing. Why don't we take this away and see how things work out? And I'll tell you, so far it's been 100%. Things have changed. They're okay in bed. Now, there's other things that happen, please. But when I have taken an alarm clock away from the bedside, things seem to get quiet and seem to calm down. But it's the electrical waves. People will tell you that when they're next to high tension wires. Pure experience. So closure is all those questions, finding out, showing them how to fix things, showing them how to identify what truly isn't unknown. And for the people making money, there's no reason to make money in this field.
Tony, can I just share something?
At the end of the questions, yeah.
There will be?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I think
We're on the last one right now.
to make money in a field that is unscientifically proven, unless it's for entertainment. I mean, if people say, look, this is entertainment, don't take this for word. We're just going to have some fun here. Okay. But to make money and claim you can do something without proof is not fair. It's taking advantage of people, and I don't like that.
Nope.
From the financial end of it, I agree with my friend here. To go in there and take money for somebody to say that you're capable of doing something when you're not capable of doing it is just evil. I've run into several people in that case that have done that. I've been with investigators who go in and charge people money with their so-called psychics who come up with ideas and things that are supposed to be going on, and you know that they're hoodwinking these people. I can't stand them. It puts a doll on everything that I stand for in my attitude. As for closure, when I get to somebody's house and they're talking that they think they have a loved one that's in their house and stuff, I asked a lot of questions, and I asked them to repeat their stories, sometimes 4 or 5 times. And you'd be surprised how much difference there is each time they tell a story. They remember something, or they're not really that sure that happened. Repetition in that case is your best friend as an investigative tool. But yeah, I don't like people who fake stuff and try to sell something. And for people who really need closure or are really panic-stricken about it, sometimes it's easier just to help them with closure in the belief that they have. But you got to take your time to ask the right questions. It's all a series of asking right questions.
Randy?
2 things. One, I was involved with the situation for profit. The Topton house was owned by a couple that wanted to accentuate their business by having ghost hunters in, thinking that they're going to make extra money and this is going to be a great thing. What happened was their business went downhill based upon an argument with Jason Hawes and the show Ghost Hunters. And it was blamed, and unfortunately the restaurant closed. Never set your sights out for what they had done. They had lost their shirt because they were looking to prove something, and when it was disproven, their idea of financial gain went. And we spent over 4 hours sitting with them, talking to them. Second point is the John Sable techniques that you and I worked together in the years past. Fairly recently, the Parisian crash, John attended a conference over in Scotland that the Parisian police officers were attending. And his technique was used in the French mountains after the plane crash to try to look for closure of what happened to the aircraft. To my knowledge, they got evidence. Now, whatever that evidence is, subjective. But we need to take a look at these new standardization, these new investigating techniques, these ghost excavation, or these excavating. Right now it's in Europe, and this is taking Europe right now by storm since he's done it in Europe itself. I don't know how much will take hold of this, but it's very interesting to know that they actually took a plane, my understanding is, took it down to the mountain, and were using recording devices. Use it for statistical measurement, and they did get something. So now, unfortunately, we have to go back to a scientific method now that has not even been created yet.
Okay. So, we're going to be wrapping it up in a couple of minutes, but one thing from my end, from listening to all of you, one of the things that seems to be, that could be a beginning good standard that some do but most don't, is ask a series of questions that talk about the situation in the place, that talk about the psychosocial background of the person. They're married, they're unmarried, they're divorced, they're in a fight with this person, they're on this psychotropic drug, I give you an example. We asked one people if they use drugs in the house. No. And I smelled marijuana. They said, oh no, marijuana is not a drug, it's a sacrament. So you have to be able to ask the right questions. So,
excellent point.
I like that. I'm cool with that.
Excellent point.
So one of the standards I think that I've gotten from this whole thing that could happen from listening to everybody is trying to create a series of questions that could be asked to the claimant that could open doors for the investigators to then investigate. The door that closes because it's rattled. They said, oh, this happened. Is it a windy day? Yes, it is. If you like this, you can prove that part. So developing a series of questions having to do with the environment of the house, the psychosocial situation in the house, the people themselves and their interaction with people outside the house, what drugs they take, you know. Does everybody here think that that might be a good starting place to create a standard, like a good questionnaire?
There's got to be a level of flexibility in an area that's unknown. Now, maybe guidelines. I don't want to say standards. I hate saying standards.
Yeah.
It's not going to, I mean, because even with the, yeah.
Categories would be better.
Categories.
Because every case is different.
Correct. I mean, even with the proving to the homeowner, I mean, the one thing, when you have these people who are looking for help and you can put their mind at ease, that's one thing. However, that door that sticks, yeah, I might have been able to show when a truck goes by, the door pops open. That's simply one reason the door popped open. But I do not know all of the environmental conditions that were in place when they saw it pop open. Maybe a truck didn't go by. And I'm just saying that from a completely objective point of view. Where on one hand, yes, prove it to me. Okay, well, it's got to be proven across the board. Exactly what was the temperature? What was the humidity factor? Did a truck go by?
How fast did the temperature change?
Exactly. All that stuff. So, I mean, if you really want to get down to it, I mean, I'm just showing a homeowner, listen,
That's science.
when the truck went by, your door opened. There's a possibility. That's all I have for you right now. So, there's so much more.
But that's it. I mean, that's part of it. There's so much more, but you go for the most plausible explanation. And that's it. I can't say 100% that a truck went by and did it. Neither can she. But that's the most plausible. If we can recreate it, you have a plausible explanation for that. And you're good. You can actually move on and see if there's anything else, but you have an explanation that is 1,000 times better than a ghost did it, which has absolutely nothing to support it. It's just speculation. It's like, oh, well, I think I have a ghost, so the ghost must have done it because I can't figure it out. Now you have a reason, so you can apply it and say, until we have, and that's beautiful about science and having an open mind, because now you have something, you have an explanation, and we're going to go with that until new evidence comes to light that's validated. Then we incorporate that new evidence into our new way of thinking. If we find out that a temperature difference can do it, now we incorporate that. Now we have a truck that does it, and a temperature difference that can pop it open. Now we have a new way of thinking. Instead of saying, well, no, a ghost did it, that's what I'm sticking with.
It's pure discovery.
Well, we've had a couple, one of the questions, yeah.
Where'd he go? He left.
You left.
No, right here. This gentleman had a question.
You had a question also, Gene.
Yeah, I just want to share quickly, just picking up on what this gentleman was saying about the military. I went to a civil affairs conference recently, and one of the topics was the impact on damage to hallowed ground sites, historic monuments, antiquities. I went because as a preservation of some monuments, I go in and pick up the pieces afterwards in terms of doing reparations or repair these monuments. But what was the impact on the locals? For instance, there was a tomb. The Marines had to go into this tomb because there was a cache of weapons. The locals said, no way, do not, this was in Fallujah, don't go in there. The weapons were there, they blew open the door, they got the weapons, the people realized there were weapons there, but the tomb was damaged. And I said to the Marine Colonel, I said, who was there, what MOS is there to repair the tomb door and the epitaphs on the side? And they said, we don't have anybody. So on one level, you have this anguish and hate that is at a level within the community themselves because their antiquity has been damaged. But then again, on a spiritual level, what happens afterwards, if in fact there is an upsetting component that ties into that piece. So I feel there's going to be a huge piece there, but it also aligns with, in our area, where we have cemeteries that are damaged, you have the locals that are infuriated, but then again, other certain people, through that anguish, have a very strong sense of loss, may be very sensitive to that particular tombstone or monument that may have a spiritual component that they are registering on. And so for atonement purposes, any number of situations we're going to be exposed to where you as experts are going to be able to have to help these people figure out what's going on, but at the same time, as Tony knows through our Saving Hallowed Ground program, is to address these monuments and to try to make amends as best we can on a physical level. But on a spiritual level, it's a whole ball of wax, and there's more and more of this going on around the world because of wars having impact, as in Syria, and other antiquities, and who knows? So yes, on a certain level, read between the lines, because you're going to be finding reportings from people from this unrest. But on another level, there's a spiritual component, and that's a whole other piece which I feel is going to need professionals to help people discern and understand this.
There's a difference between scientific standards and ethical standards. Okay? And I do believe that in the community of the unknown, there should be a set of ethical standards put out.
Agreed.
I think that's where we have dropped the ball. And
You guys, not me.
but I do believe that that's where we have dropped the ball. And you know what, again, I know what you're saying with the damage to things. I do know that there are people in the paranormal community, those same people that are charging fraudulently for what they do are probably the people that are going damaging things when they investigate them. That many others have to come behind. That's where I think an ethical standard needs to come into play. You know, the historical places.
Respect for historical sites.
Respect.
Is paramount.
Respect for the homeowner. Don't, if you know, do criminal background checks. If you've got people going to these homes, why would you have to do background checks? These people, you can't just send anybody in somebody's personal home. But that's a whole other thing, and this could take like hours.
And I agree with the professional standpoint too. Consult a professional. If you have a family that's hysterical, I can. Sometimes I get called out. I don't do private home investigations because I just think they're wrong. I'm not qualified to deal with behavioral issues. I can investigate claims, but that's it. As far as the family, if mom, dad, kids, whatever, have issues, like because they believe something's going on and they have psychological issues, I'm not going to pretend like I know what I'm doing.
That's when you send it out.
Yeah. I have people that I can consult, I have numbers where I can give them people and say, this is a behavioral therapist, this is a psychologist, you need to talk to them. And I actually wrote an article for Skeptical Inquirer about such things and learned that it takes, for every year that somebody has a fear of like the unknown or something like that freaks them out, it takes 5 to 7 years to get that out of them. So when I hear groups going in and doing this kind of damage, like telling people your house is haunted after 4 hours and then leaving, never coming back again, you're screwing with people's lives.
It's criminal.
It's horrible, and who's accountable? You know, so I don't do it. I leave it to the professionals who know what they're doing, who have been trained, and let them handle it.
I'm just speaking though in terms of atonement on one level, that repair of a monument that's damaged, for instance, the kids vandalize something instead of picking up trash, we come in and we have those kids be part of the process of repairing that tombstone.
Restoration.
Some people feel that that is an atonement also for the soul of that sacred site that registers on a certain level. And some people honestly believe in that. And if that's the case, and I believe in that in certain levels too.
Yes.
Hallowed ground is hallowed ground.
Of course.
But I feel that it's an educational process, and you have to engage people in a way so they can discern and understand what's going on.
Spiritual beliefs are not even on the table here. I mean, we must, I am the first person to say I respect spiritual beliefs of all people. I make my own conclusions on experiences within the paranormal. But if somebody's coming to me and they are desperately putting their religious edge on it, it's none of my business to take them off that, but I will refer them to their religious clergy. You know, you speak to your religious clergy about this, that if this is what you feel. That's important. I mean, you cannot dismiss somebody's true personal beliefs.
This is where my team is taking this to the next level, because we're going into the spiritual. And we're trying to open up doors, both with God and Allah, because we're dealing with a multi-level problem. You know, and in dealing with that, I have a born-again team of 9 people right now. So we're dealing with that ethics and spiritual access, you know, especially what you're talking about. You know, the continuity of prayer, the continuity of Christ, and now the idea of the continuity of Allah. You know, because we're dealing with people right now in Telefar who are the walkers of Muslim and Allah. And I'm the one who went to the Muslim community and asked them to open the door to devout Muslims, to understand the phonetics of breaking hallowed ground, and not only of that, but ghost hunting in general, and how the Muslims consider that jihad. You know, it's a very interesting, if you want to go, it's a website, the deanshow.com, DENshow.com. It was done by a friend of mine who I asked 2 years ago. He'd take the show with a Muslim demonologist, and they go into that question that you were asking. You know, one Muslim ghost investigator named Ben Muhammad from Benghazi, and he also is dealing with that spiritual question. That's a multi-level. You know, that's going to take a long time to iron out.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock and we have to come to an end. I don't know if we have anything scheduled at 5 o'clock, do we, other than the chili cook-off?
We're supposed to take the flag down, but of course we're indoors and the flag is down.
So we're not going to be taking the flag down.
Good,
so-
more questions. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to do that.
Here, use your own.
I have with standards for paranormal. Okay, I deal with standards every day, ISO, I work in pharmaceuticals, so we have ASQ, all that kind of stuff. And there's nothing you can measure in paranormal. You can't, until you can capture it in a petri dish and study it and replicate this thing by testing it over and over and over again, you'll never, ever be able to prove any of that. You can't validate it or nothing. So we go
I love you.
We go back and forth, and I tell them, if you really are interested in standards in paranormal, you have to work with the processes, a standard process, standard investigative processes.
And we're not even
Like
there yet.
Questions, all that kind of.
We're not even there yet to put a process
Right,
together.
and that's what my argument
We'll
is.
never be there.
You know, you use equipment. Okay, all that equipment is faulty.
It's fun.
Okay, an EMF reader, I got a 78. Oh, must be a ghost.
Hey, it blinks,
And they're cool.
and it makes noises.
I can use one to talk. No.
Digital images. Digital has smart technology. It's going to fill in the blanks if something's coming up anomalous. So, and even analog has issues. So which one do you trust? So you can't use that as a standard. There's nothing
pull the
that you
lightsaber
can
out.
use to capture it
No, I like
that will give you an absolute, definite, validated, that's a ghost.
But you see, this is where my...
That's more, that's a, like,
That's why it's
This is where my wife
experiences.
and I go back and forth, especially with concerning you, because we're trying to teach children the new version of morality of God and Allah, especially dealing with this particular issue. And God and Allah, you know, are one. So I'm trying to cross the identities of religion. I'm trying to understand it and how all of this affects, both on hollow ground and
you ready
going
for
out
children?
paranormal investigating, because they don't believe in it.
For the participants and the volunteers,
Is that the trophy?
we have a trophy for, we're going to taste some chili, and we're going to call a winner for this year. Thank you.
Yay!